What a head, son! What a head!
How's it, guys? This is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys through my ultimate guide to the upcoming double game week 37. It's the last double game week of the current season and the second last game week of the entire FPL season. It's a little bit of a sad time, to be honest. But don't worry, you're not going to focus on the sad times, let's focus on the good times, and that's going to be preparing for the upcoming double game week. Now as usual, the usual kind of ultimate guide topics will be covered, the stats review, the Campsy debate, but I've added in the best fixture debate for double game week 37, as well as should you sell Mo Salah for Bruno or Kevin De Bruyne. So all those talking points are generally all you need to prepare for the upcoming double game week, so let's hope that it's going to be a good one. So if the topics that I mentioned earlier on are something that you guys are interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. But now going on to the stats review to start off this ultimate guide, probably my favorite talking point of these ultimate guides, as I love to go over the stats and see what are the best performing and the worst performing teams. Now you guys will know if you watched the previous video, but if you haven't, I'll be going over the attacking stats and then the defensive stats. And the two time frames covered are going to be from the restart, game week 17 onwards, and then also the last 6 games at a minimum. As usual, the last 6 games at a minimum basically means that some teams are double game weeks, some teams are blank game weeks. So let's take the game week where the minimum fixtures are going to be 6 games. But don't worry, if that was a little bit confusing, I'll cover that as the talking point goes on. Let's start off with the attacking stats. So the attacking stat of choice that I always go for is XG non-penalty. I use the non-penalty variant as penalties aren't that sustainable. So this really shows how attacking a side is. So on the left hand side, let's go from the restart game week 17 after the World Cup. You guys can see that Brighton are the #1 attack with 2.14 XG per game. Now these stats are per game averages, so just keep that in mind. Next up is Man City, Liverpool, closely following them with 1.86 and 1.83. Then we have United, Newcastle, and then finally Arsenal. So if you guys are looking to invest in an attacker for the last few games, my advice would be kind of marry the fixtures to the stats, because there are some great combinations over these last 2 game weeks. Now just a reminder here that Brighton and Newcastle takes place tomorrow night. I'm recording this before the Man City game in the Champions League, so these stats don't take into account the game tonight. Now going on to the right hand side, the last 6 games at a minimum, we got Man United up top with 2.30, closely followed by Brighton with 2.29, so just 0.01 XG per game, separating these two, followed by Liverpool on 2.15, and then you have quite a drop off to Newcastle, Leicester and Man City. So there are a few talking points to be had here. To be honest, the first team, Man United, really nice to see with the upcoming double game week that they top of the rankings for the last 6 games in terms of attacking stats. So if you guys are potentially looking to go differential, bring in another United attacker, keep your eyes on this one. But as a Rashford and Bruno Fernandes owner, I'm pretty happy to see this. Then in other words, Brighton still keeping up these attacking stats. We'll see tonight against Newcastle if they can keep that up. Then we also have Liverpool on 2.15. And the last team I want to focus on here is going to be Leicester. As if you like myself, I'm having a little bit of a benching dilemma. Should I bench Trippier? Should I bench Trent? So it is quite interesting to see that Leicester have been quite attacking over the last 6 games. In the final team, Man City there, 1.55, so quite a drop in attacking stats over the last 6 compared to the entire season and from the restart. But Erling Haaland is still a great option for Campsy. But a lot of interesting talking points to take out of this last 6 game weeks for the XG non-penalty, and very useful for the last 2 game weeks. Now we have just covered the best sides from an attacking point of view, so let's go over the worst sides from an attacking point of view, and these are sides that you will target from a defensive point of view. So lots of point of views there, but basically what this is telling you, if you do have a defender facing these teams, the chance of a clean sheet should be pretty strong. So on the left hand side, since the restart, Southampton have been the worst team from an attacking point of view. That's pretty understandable. Unfortunately, they've just been relegated, so I feel bad for you Southampton fans, but hopefully they'll be back in the Prem shortly. And they're followed by Wolves, Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, and finally Leeds. So Crystal Palace for me is an interesting side because over the last 6 games have actually been pretty attacking, but maybe their chances just don't have a high XG. Let's go on to the right hand side where the teams are just in a kind of different order. Wolves, Southampton still the top 2, but then we have Fulham, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest, and then again Crystal Palace. So once again, that Crystal Palace side isn't attacking that well. If you guys do want to go for a Zaha or an Eze, just keep that in mind, but Eze is still producing FPL points. But if you guys are looking for a Chelsea attacker, just keep in mind that the attack hasn't been that great, and they have a double game week coming up, so the clean sheets could be there for the sides facing them. So once again, if you guys do have defenders facing these sides, the chance of a clean sheet should be pretty strong. But let's switch things up, let's go over the defensive stats now, so if you guys do want to go for a defender, take a punt for the last 2 game weeks, these are sides to target. So on the left hand side, since the restart, Man City's defense has been pretty solid, and that's how I really want Edison to start the last 3 games. Now will that happen, will that not, we don't really know at the current moment, but I'm holding thumbs. We then have Chelsea, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Brentford, and finally United, so it's nice to see some teams that we do have in our defense there. Then on the right hand side, Man City still the top team. We then have Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Brentford and finally United. So Liverpool creeping in here, one of the worst attacks at the start of the season, now one of the best over the last 6. So I'm quite confident as a Trent owner. But other than that, we're all going to play Luke Shaw at the end of the day, so nice to see that United are here. But if you guys do want to go for a double up from the defensive department, Man City is definitely the team to go for if you can predict who's going to start both. Then let's go over the worst defenses, and this is kind of my favorite stat to talk about because these are teams to target from an attacking point of view. So if your players are facing 2 of these sides in the double game week, chances are they're probably not, but if you do have a single game week player, there might even be a differential punt. So on the left hand side, since the restart, Everton are going to be the worst defense, narrowly out of the relegation zone. Will they drop back in? Who kind of knows, along with Nottingham Forest and also Leeds. We then finally have Bournemouth, Leicester and Fulham, and all these sides have had pretty bad seasons. Then over the last 6 games, at a minimum, Everton and Leeds definitely the worst defenses in the Prem, so target these sides from a captaincy point of view. We then have Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, Southampton and finally Spurs, so yet again the North London teams are struggling from a defensive side of things. So overall, unfortunately, the double game weeks aren't going to revolve around these sides. We generally have some pretty tough games in the double game weeks, but just remember that Brighton do face Southampton, who are on this list. So if you guys do want to go for a differential captain, those Brighton assets might be worth it just because of that first game against Southampton at home. But lots of stats insights to be had, to be honest. Nicely that United are top for the attacking stats from a recent point of view, and I'll remember that when I talk about captaincy. But let me know in the comments down below, are there any stats that you guys want to showcase? Otherwise, go over to Fantasy Football Fix where I got these stats from, go over to the Opta Stats Sandbox, and all the stats are going to be presented for you there. Now the next talking point I want to go over is going to be the best fixtures for the last 2 game weeks of the season, double game week 37 plus double game week 38. So if you guys are looking to take some kind of 2-week punts, what sides to target? Now this will be kind of dominated by the double game week sides obviously, but there are 3 teams that have single games in both 37 and 38. Now these ratings also came from Fix, so if you guys do want to go check them out, you guys can go over to their fixture planner. Now the number 1 team is going to be United with Bournemouth and Chelsea in double game week 37 and then Fulham in double game week 38. So no surprise, they're arguably the best double game week 37 fixtures, and against Fulham at home on the last day of the season, with United having to secure top 4, they're a favourite of mine. So if you guys don't have a triple up, I would definitely go for it, but nice to see that Rashford is back in training today, so it should be fine for the upcoming double game week. The next team is going to be Brighton with Southampton at home and Man City at home, so nice to see 2 kind of home fixtures in double game week 37, then they travel to Aston Villa on the last day of the season. So in terms of the double game week, I'm fine with that. Yes, Man City at home is a tough game, but as you guys will know from the transfer plan, Man City can win the title in the first game of double game week 37 against Chelsea. So talking about Man City, let's bring them up right now. Chelsea at home, Brighton away, as mentioned. They could win the title if they beat Chelsea in double game week 37. So there might be some rotation against Brighton, might be some rotation against Brentford, as both those games are away. But let's see what happens tonight in the Champions League. That obviously is going to give us some big insight into who starts on the weekend. So these 3 teams, I definitely go for a triple up on all of them if you guys can afford it. Otherwise, prioritize United, Brighton, and then City. But now going to the single game week teams, and the first team is going to be West Ham. They have Leeds at home and Leicester away, both sides in the relegation scrap. So that might make these fixtures quite hard. Another thing to factor in is that West Ham are currently playing in the Conference League, so they have that Thursday night kickoff, which might lead to some rotation in game week 37. But just keep that in mind, and if you can predict who's going to start from West Ham, they could be nice differentials. And the second last team is going to be Arsenal, Nottingham Forest away, Wolves at home. Unfortunately with Arsenal, they can't win this season, but do expect them to have a pretty strong end to it after what's been a pretty strong campaign. Now both these 2 teams are struggling at the moment from a defensive point of view, do really favour those Arsenal attackers, and with Martinelli's injury, there could be some punts to go for. Otherwise from a defensive point of view, no complaints there, but maybe prioritise a more attacking defender. Then the last team is going to be Crystal Palace. I know I'm recommending Crystal Palace, but the stats don't look that strong from an attacking point of view, but I still do favour them, especially in Eze. Great form at the current moment, but if you guys want to go for Zaha, yes, the FPL troll, but he could be a nice differential for the last 2 game weeks. Now their games against Fulham and Nottingham Forest at home, both sides should be safe from the drop, but I guess Crystal Palace might be on the beach already. But overall, these are my top 6 sides. Yes, the ratings are from Fix, but I do agree with them, and I would prioritize the double game weeks if you guys don't have triple ups from United, Brighton, and Man City. Otherwise, punts from the last 3 teams can also be had, as their fixtures are also pretty decent. Let me know in the comments down below, did I miss any team, a team that you guys might be targeting? I didn't go over Chelsea of a double game week in 37 as well, but they're not playing great at the current moment, and definitely prefer the other double game week sides. Now the second last talking point before we go over the captaincy debate is going to be all about Mo Salah, and should you guys transfer him out for a free transfer or for a hit. So Mo Salah has Aston Villa at home and Southampton away, 2 relatively fine games. The Aston Villa one though, you guys would have seen that Villa are defending well over the last 6 game weeks, but this game is at Anfield and Liverpool have been playing better at home. So in terms of the two fixtures, I have no complaints there. I think that Mo Salah and Liverpool have to win to secure top 4 if United or Newcastle drop points. So in terms of the fixtures, yes, they might not be a double game week, but I still think they're adequate, and Mo Salah's having a great season. So let's go over the first player, and that's going to be Kevin De Bruyne. Should you guys take out Salah for Kevin De Bruyne, who has a double game week of Chelsea at home and Brighton away? Well, to be honest, I think it's quite hard to predict what's going to happen with Man City. I think against Chelsea at home, obviously it's going to be a very strong side. They'll want to win the Prem at home in game week 37, so that might be an absolute goal fest. But then after that, Brighton and Brentford, both kind of adequate defenses. Yes, I do expect Man City to win those games, but Kevin De Bruyne might suffer some rotation. So I expect Kevin De Bruyne to play tonight against Real Madrid, and then after that expect him to play the Chelsea game, and then probably be rested for the Brighton or the Brentford one. So at the current moment, I can't really recommend going for Kevin De Bruyne unless you have certainty that he'll start both games. Maybe if Erling Haaland's out injured for the last 2 game weeks, then maybe Kevin De Bruyne is a punt to go for. But definitely not for a hit, but for a free transfer maybe, but I think I might stick with Mo Salah. But let's go over another alternative that you guys can also look at, and that's going to be Bruno Fernandes from Manchester United, and I like this move a lot more than I like the De Bruyne one. So the reason for that is that obviously with Bruno, he's going to start all games that United do play, and he has a better double game week and 38 fixture. So Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, Fulham at home. I do think over those 3 game weeks, Bruno can outperform Salah. Now will this be for a -4 hit? I don't exactly know if I'd extend it to a -4. The only thing I would take a hit for is if you guys want to captain Bruno, which I can't really think there might be too many of you. But for a free transfer, I would definitely consider this, even if it is for a 1 week punt, and then you bring Mo Salah back in for game week 38. So if you guys don't have Bruno in your squad, this is definitely a route to kind of look at, but I think it's super close between Salah and also Bruno. So to kind of conclude, I definitely think keeping Mo Salah is a viable strategy. Don't think I would do the De Bruyne move, but the Bruno move does look like quite a nice one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think it's worth taking Salah out if you don't own Salah at the current moment? Are you looking to bring him in, or are you looking to ship him out for someone like a Bruno Fernandes? Now the last talking point to go over, as usual in these ultimate guides, is going to be all about the captaincy debate, and this week proves to be quite an interesting one. Now the number 1 option, quite a boring option, we speak about him every single game week, it's obviously going to be Erling Haaland, who has Chelsea at home and Brighton away. Now Erling Haaland will definitely start tonight, definitely will start against Chelsea, and probably will start against Brighton, so you're almost looking at 2 starts in double game week 37. So general thinking is, if Erling Haaland's going to start the majority of minutes, you definitely captain him, as he's just such an FPL force. So the safe option, definitely the boring option, but the safe option, effective ownership will be super high, is Erling Haaland from Man City. Now I probably wouldn't extend this to other Man City options, don't think I'll go for De Bruyne, a Mahrez, a Grealish, that sort of thing. As mentioned, if Man City do win the title against Chelsea, there could be some rotation against Brighton. So in terms of Erling Haaland, if you guys do want to go differential, I'll definitely go for another double game week option, and the first option is going to be Bruno from United. So I won't lie to you guys, I'm actually pretty tempted by going for Bruno. Yes, Rashford is also in that debate, but I just worry about his injury concerns as he just returned to training on Wednesday. So Bruno guaranteed to play minutes, always loves a double game week, so could the Portuguese be a nice differential captain? Well, as said, I'm pretty tempted by this move to be honest, and that's just because of those expected minutes. But you guys let me in the comments down below, are you guys going to captain Bruno over a Haaland, or you guys will get another alternative? That alternative could be a Matoma or McAllister from Brighton. Solly March won't be probably fit for game week 37, so I'd either go for the Japanese international or the Argentinian. And the reason for that captaincy is the first fixture. Southampton at home is probably the best game of double game week 37, and then anything against Man City is going to be bonus. But let's just say that Man City do win the title against Chelsea and they're heavily rotating against Brighton. I actually think that Brighton could do pretty well against the City squad. So as mentioned, captaining them for the Southampton game, anything against Man City is going to be absolute bonus. So Matoma or McAllister could be a nice differential punt, but I do prefer going for Bruno, or if you want to go safe, go for Erling Haaland. But as mentioned, let me in the comments down below who you guys are captaining. Are you looking to go differential? Are you looking to go safe? And is there an option I haven't mentioned that I should? But this is basically going to wrap up the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And I'll be seeing you guys with the team selection coming up tomorrow on Friday. Otherwise, good luck for the remaining double game week 36 game of Brighton vs Newcastle. Hopefully it's an absolute banger. But I'm going to sign off. This has been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.